Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us on today's Code Ninjas conference call. We do these calls each and every week to help give more insight and a little bit more understanding of who Code Ninjas is, where we're going, and maybe answer some of your questions. My name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Franchising over here at Code Ninjas. And today, we have these calls every week, and they're pretty simple. They're pretty much the same. The first 10 or 15 minutes of today's call is going to be basically what it is every single week, a brief overview of who we are, where we come from, a little bit about David Graham, a little bit about our curriculum, a little bit about our support structure as a franchise. And then we dive into the Q&A section of these calls, and that's really set aside for you to be able to ask whatever questions you have that in your mind that you want to be able to have answers to or provide some clarity on, that hopefully I can do that for you. And that'll be at the end. And so as we go through today's call, if something comes up and you have a question, please write it down. And at the end of today's call, it'll be pretty simple. You're just going to hit *6. It'll virtually raise your hand at that time. I'll be able to call on you. You'll be able to ask your question. That Q&A time, typically lasts anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, really depending on the questions you have for myself and about Code Ninjas. So to kind of get us started, I like to go over Code Ninjas by the numbers and really just where we're at and where we're going. Right now, we're coming up on 19 months of really when it comes to awarding franchises. We started Code Ninjas in October of 2016, but we didn't start awarding franchises until March, late February, early March of 2017. So what all that kind of comes to is, to date, we have just over 130 franchisees with more than 300. I think we're getting close to 305 as of today, sold territories. We have right around 55 locations open, and we have just over 60 locations that are currently enrolling students in that pre-opening stage. So that's all happened over the past about 19 months. That's pretty fantastic. It's pretty validating, and it's really exciting for Code Ninjas. We also had our first annual conference called NinjaCon. Typically, that's not done the first year of franchising, but we knew how important it was to really humanize us as a brand and as a franchisee to franchisor, and that relationship and that community, franchisee to franchisee. So it's very exciting to see this kind of growth happening with inside Code Ninjas all over the country. We do have some closed markets like Houston, for example, Austin, for example, North Carolina in Charlotte and in Raleigh, a few closed markets where that's not open any longer for new franchisees to come in. It's only going to be open for existing franchisees. So there are a few markets out there that we have closed, and we can obviously go one-on-one to find out where you're at and if one of those markets is something that you're looking at. So to just back up a little bit, David Graham, the founder and CEO of Code Ninjas, when he came up with this idea of Code Ninjas and how he wanted to do it, it really stemmed from him being a programmer, coder for 25 years, being an entrepreneur, and then owning a school that taught adults how to code. That school he owned and operated for about 4.5 years in 18 different cities. And there wasn't a week that went by where he wasn't asked about how do we get the younger generation involved? How can we get the kids involved, the younger, the 7 to 14? How can we get them more connected to what it is to think like a coder? So understanding the core principles or the core of what a great coder is, which is those problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, time management, leadership, collaboration, understanding that, and to start to really process how we can bring that into that age range and how we can develop those skills at a young age. He started really looking at the current setup, the current curriculum that's out there and how kids were learning, and it just was so far off of what it really is to absorb these skills and practice them on a regular basis, because this is a language that they're learning, whether it's going to be no matter what technology language they're learning, it is really about those fundamentals. So how can we get them there? And as he broke it down and continued to break it down, that's where the Code Ninjas curriculum comes from. He had an idea sitting in his son's karate class thinking, geez, just like these belts and the advancements on skills, we can do the same thing with learning how to code. So bringing all that together, bringing all that back around, launching Code Ninjas in 2017, and we opened our very first location in March of 2017, and then obviously starting to award franchises all over the country. Then it's been very validated by IT professionals, by teachers that are franchisees from all over the country. So when we think of the curriculum itself, just to kind of give you a brief overview of that, it's not just about the curriculum, it's also about the experience. You can have the best curriculum, and if you have a poor experience for parents, for students, the likelihood of you retaining your students long term and gaining new customers is going to be pretty slim. And vice versa. If you could have a fantastic experience in a subpar curriculum, and you're going to have the same issue. So our goal is to balance those. We want to obviously have world-class curriculum combined with a world-class experience so that families can enjoy the atmosphere. Kids can, obviously get into it and have fun. That's why our model is kids have fun, parents see results. We have our parent portal that obviously parents can stay engaged and connected. They can see and play the games that their son or their daughter is building. So it's about keeping those parents connected to the skills and seeing what's happening and what their son or their daughter is learning. That's through our parent portal. When it comes to the curriculum itself, our main curriculum is going to be our belt program, which is we call our drop-in. The drop-in program is a flexible learning system. It allows the parents to drop their son or daughter off at their convenience. About 2 hours a week is what they're looking at, and they pay a flat tuition rate per month. That curriculum is made up of 9 different belts. With inside each belt, there's a learned set of skills and concepts. And at the end of that belt, students are required to show their proficiency by building a game that requires those skills and concepts. That then gets graded by our code senseis, and then they are able to progress to the next belt. And then each belt compounds onto one another all the way through to the black belt or the 9th belt. That curriculum itself is about 45% proprietary exclusive just to Code Ninjas. We have proprietary textbooks that go with this curriculum as well. There's an exclusive robotics program that is built into this curriculum as well. So that is a full curriculum that takes about 3 years for our students to accomplish. And again, they're going to come in at their convenience. Parents are going to pay a flat monthly tuition for them to be able to access the center for up to 2 hours a week. That curriculum that we have, that is the one that is required for your Code Ninjas. And that is really the differentiator in curriculum for Code Ninjas. We have actually a total of 5 different opportunities for families to get involved in Code Ninjas. So it's not just they come in and they're going to do just that drop-in program. We also have Parents Night Out. We have birthday parties. We also have our after-school program. We also do camps. Camps are a part where those camps is whenever there's not school. So we like to say it's whenever there's not school camp. So opportunity. And along with obviously, birthday parties are going to be another opportunity out there as well. We're adding our Code Masters program in early 2019. The Code Masters program is going to be for those who are 14 and older, and that can go all the way up to 100 years old. There's no age limit to that one. So it's not just about one program. We do want to keep families engaged. We want to be able to help them meet them where they're at based on their budget, based on their commitment, based on their knowledge, and be able to help them, get involved in Code Ninjas. When it comes to thinking about you as a franchisee, one of the things that we took into consideration deeply when starting Code Ninjas is understanding support. Franchise support is really tricky in terms of how you roll everything out, how we keep our team up to date. And there's really a few functions of franchise support that we focus on. We knew when we were starting off that Code Ninjas needed to have a collaboration tool for franchisees to connect with other franchisees immediately. and not to have it to where it's just one time a year at a conference, but how can we encourage and create tools to allow franchisees to work together immediately, whether they're in the same state, same town, or if they're across the country from one another. That iron sharpens iron, and that collaboration is a really important part of Code Ninja's culture. We support it. We encourage it. We have multiple opportunities to allow franchisees to connect and be able to share their best practices, their pitfalls, be able to share those immediately. And when you become a franchisee, you have immediate access to every Code Ninja franchisee across the country. That was really critical for us to understand how we can incorporate that right away. Also, technology. We knew that we needed to have technology in place that allowed you to run reports, that allowed you to understand what's happening in your center, when is it happening in your center, where do you compare to everybody else, how can you see the numbers and the data, how can technology help you be more efficient every day inside your Code Ninjas or your team inside your Code Ninjas, or if you're going to be owning and operating off-site, how can you see what's happening and what's going on? Another part of that, also understanding the third part of that, is performance coaching. Performance coaching and helping your team perform at their highest level inside your Code Ninjas. Understanding how performance coaching is delivering that world-class service. Technology is where we're going to keep up to date on all of that world-class technology in terms of our curriculum, staying ahead of the curve. We have 3 full-time game curriculum developers. We have 3 full-time coders and programmers on staff. Over 6 people, 7, 8 people actually that are on staff that are all focused around the technology side of Code Ninjas. Our performance coaching, we have an entire support team that's going to focus on helping you with all of your compliance, when you're understanding compliance, operations, performance on a day-to-day, explaining what Code Ninjas is and how to communicate that value to those coming in your front door. Those are all key parts of our support structure. So when people ask, why did you decide to go in the franchising route? We know for a fact that as a franchise, you will be able to deliver a world-class experience into your community where you live or where you want to live or where you're at, better than if it was a corporate-run entity managing centers all over the country. And entrepreneurs can deliver that world-class, and also brand development. Our franchisees are our brand development. People will always ask, what type of franchisee are you looking for? We're looking for franchisees that want to be engaged, that want to help develop and grow a brand into something that right now, currently, we're in that 2 percentile. Only 2% of franchise systems get accomplished and have done what Code Ninjas has done, and that's because of our franchisees. And that accomplishment is the number of units we have open within the 2-year mark. We're on pace to have 100 locations open within 2 years. That's incredible. Right now, we're sitting at that 55 marker, and we're on pace to be at 100. So what we're accomplishing, we know is not possible without our franchisees. So we're looking for franchisees that want to be engaged and want to help develop this brand to be even greater than we've ever imagined or expected it to be. So that is pretty much the first part of the call every single week. These calls are recorded. They're meant to be able to help you get a little bit better of an understanding when it comes to, I don't know what you don't know or what you want to know, and that's why we have these Q&A sections as well that allow you to ask any questions that you have. Whether it's going to be, what's the cost of the drop-in program? Obviously, I would love to be able to answer questions like that. For example, that program itself, we allow you to choose the best rate for your community. We give you a range to start with. So whatever questions you have, this would be a good part to ask, whether it's going to be the construction or how much does it cost to build a center out, or if you want to talk about any questions that are from the franchise disclosure document. If you don't have that, we need to get that into your hands. So this will be your time to ask any questions. I'm going to open it up to the Q&A. If you have a question about Code Ninjas, then this would be your time to hit *6. That'll virtually raise your hand, and you'll be able to ask whatever questions you have. If it's, what's the timeline to open a Code Ninjas from the day that I sign my franchise agreement? We have all that data. So if you have a question, if I did a fantastic job and you don't have any questions, then we'll end our call pretty early today and and you guys can go on with your day. If you do have questions, this is going to be your time to ask them by hitting *6. And again, that'll virtually raise your hand, and I'll be able to have you pick up and answer your question. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Hi, Chris here.
Hey, Chris.
I'm planning to run Code Ninjas, or several of them within my hometown here, but I currently live on an island in the Caribbean, and I come back for about 2 months of the summer, and my big question would be, as I get a manager in place or an equity partner, what happens if they get hit by a bus? Are the other employees that are helpers in the franchise, are they able to, take that role until another manager is replaced? The franchise is new, so I'm not sure if anybody's ever had this problem of a manager walking out, but could you maybe elaborate on some of the other helpers and their day-to-day functions, and if they can step in place until a new manager is found?
Yeah. Besides, you probably made everybody really angry with you on the entire call because you live on an island in the Caribbean. Besides that, great question. So, Chris, when it comes to our system, it's very duplicatable, and that's why we have a team that supports you. So in your situation, just so you're aware, I opened up 33 fitness centers across the country, and I operated it out of Minnesota, and I traveled, right? But I couldn't be everywhere at one time. So when you think about how you set yourself up for success, if you're not going to be an on-site owner-operator, we have thought that through, knowing that we were going to have individuals that weren't going to live in the same state or across the country. We have franchisees that live in California that are opening up in the Midwest and on the East Coast. So it is common to have somebody living in a different location and then, operating and having multiple Code Ninjas or a Code Ninja off, in a different part of the country. So you would set yourself up for success with that. And one way of doing that would be setting up maybe like a lead Code Sensei role or an assistant manager role. And all of that is going to, having a manager walk out on you, of course we've had that happen. Nobody's going to have a perfect scenario where you hire somebody and they stay with you forever as a brand. You're going to lose people. So you definitely want to set yourself up, Chris, for where you're at to be sure that you have a backup plan, which is going to be more than likely you're going to have to look at it as, okay, if I have an assistant or if I have a lead Code Sensei, that lead Code Sensei can step in. And that lead Code Sensei can still run your business. And you have a support team here to help you. Now, we're not going to fly out and run your business for you, but if that lead Code Sensei is like, oh my word, they got hit by a bus, I don't know what to do, I need help. It's not just about Chris, but it's also this is why you're part of a franchise. We're going to be there to help in any way that we can, but we need to set that lead Code Sensei up for success. So maybe they have a little bit of a unique job description when they come on. Yes, as the lead Code Sensei, but they also have some other opportunities out there that they can get involved and maybe help the center director out and on the weekends even, and they get used to understanding how to run the system.
Perfect.
It's not overly complicated. It's really not overly complicated. That's for sure.
Yep. No, that is my only concern at this point. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question? Hi, do you have a question? Try again. Hi, do you have a question?
Hi, yes, Deepak here. My question was with regards to the site selection. So I understand, once we work with the head office and we zone down on a territory or particular area, how much help does Code Ninjas provide in terms of doing any surveys or site studies to make sure that location would be a best fit, or is that completely in the hands of the franchisee? And if the franchisee says, you know what, I live in this community and this is where I want the site to be, is that just an open go for the franchisee to kind of open wherever he or she wants, or how does that work with Code Ninjas?
Yeah, so we're not a system where you can open up wherever you want. We're not going to let a Code Ninjas be in between a pawn shop, a liquor store, and a gun shop, right? So you're going to have to, there is an approval process that we have to go through. We help you with understanding the demographics and the territory searching. So when it comes to, I want to be in that mall. Well, fantastic. What does that mall look like? What is there? I mean, we're going to ask you a lot of questions. We do have a site approval process. So when you say site selection, it's not, site selection is kind of a loaded phrase, because we're not going to go and choose and tell you that this location is better than that location. We're not going to be held liable for that part of it, but we will tell you if your location is approved based on where you're at. I mean, where are your local tenants? What's the space look like? Is it run down? Does it even meet our requirements? Does it have the width, the height of the ceilings? Is it in the right part of town? Because in some parts of town, you could have a $80,000 median household income, and you go 2 miles the other way, and it goes down to $36,000. If it doesn't meet our requirements and demographics, that's also not going to be approved as a site selection. But we want to hear what you have to say in your community, because you do know your community better than us. So we do want to understand your thoughts on certain areas. We're not just going to shut it down, but we do have certain standards that we do have in place and requirements.
Perfect. Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hey, I just want to know, where you guys are standing for going in Canada.
Canada, we opened up for Canada 2 weeks ago. Opened up for awarding territories. We do not have anything sold yet or awarded yet in Canada. It's been about 2 weeks, and we've collected about 150 inquiries for Canada in 2 weeks. So it's turning out to be very popular.
Okay, and how can I know the available territories for Canada?
Well, we don't have anything sold yet, so available territory is Canada right now. So you're going to want to connect one-on-one with either myself or Jeff Thames, and we can help you with understanding what's available in your area or where is a good territory.
No, but you don't have predefined areas.
No, we have a few, so those are some things we can talk about one-on-one, yes.
Okay.
We have about 50 that we've located in Canada that seem to fit what we're looking for.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, thanks so much for doing this. This is really helpful. So I actually have a couple. So about how much square feet space does a typical Code Ninja facility need? I know probably a range, but what's the minimum and what would be the maximum you would be looking to recommend?
Sure. 1,600 to 3,200 square feet is our range. Our franchisees typically right now are coming in at 1,800 to about 2,100 square feet. Okay. We allow that 1,600 to 3,200 as a range.
That's helpful. What staff level would you place your typical senseis at? And give me an idea of what their qualifications would be and pay range usually are.
Sure. Our code senseis typically would be, you're looking at 3 to 5 code senseis, and you would be looking at anywhere from late high school to early college students. And we help you with understanding their pay, what to look for, where to find them. We have your training agenda down so you'll know how to train them and what they need to be doing and when they need to be doing it. So we have all that built in already. So when you hire somebody, you'll have a starting place.
So they're basically part-time employees.
Correct.
Those folks.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, they're all part-time. Yeah. Besides your center director, they're full-time.
Got it. And then Do you guys have a ballpark on average operating expenses, mid-range for the entire operation?
Yeah, we do that with you one-on-one. We actually have an Excel pro forma that we give out to those who are going down the path with us, and we're going down this road together. We actually have a whole Excel pro forma that we've built that allows you to plug and play all of the information from revenue, business model, cost of doing business. So we help you with that one-on-one.
Okay, and then what would you say you've encountered to be the biggest barriers or challenges to getting franchises up and running successfully?
It'll always be in 15 years of franchising and onboarding more than 2,000 franchisees in my career with the brands, this brand and the last brand I was a part of. It's always going to be real estate.
Finding the right spot at the right price when you say real estate?
Yeah, negotiating. Well, there's a lot with that. Right spot, right price, right landlord, right tenants, right location in town.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Hi, this is Neeraj. So I was looking at your investment total. So my question is related to if you don't have that much capital, so do you guys help in some kind of line of credit or in some that way?
Yeah, we actually work with the two top financial brokers in the country, and they will take in all of your opportunities into consideration and help guide you with the best funding source for yourself, an option. Just to kind of break it all down, out of 130 plus franchisees, 70% have done SBA loans. The other 30% have done a combination of personal monies, whether it's home equity, whether it's retirement rollover, whether it's cash. They've done that with a combination of an SBA.
Got it. And my another question is once we get in touch base with you, so what is the time period? Does it like 6 months to 1 year to open or make the location fully fledged running? What's the time frame?
From the day you sign your franchise agreement to the day you open your doors for business, right now our franchisees average about 8 months.
8 months.
It could be done faster. Obviously, that's why it's an average. So you could do it faster. It could take a little bit longer. The average right now is about 8 months.
And then you help within these 8 months that you guys help to locate the actual location and all those every other steps, right? Including the architect and everything?
Yes. So we will help you with when it comes to finding your exact location. We work with a preferred vendor. We have a few preferred vendors that will help you through the real estate process. We'll help you pinpoint your market. And then obviously we have when it comes to the design, construction, we have all that in place so you'll be able to know. You're not going to have to go down this path all by yourself and try to figure it out.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question? Hello, do you have a question? Hi, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you wonderfully.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, so I have a few questions. The first one is that do you operate or help franchisees overseas in APAC these days, or is it in your plan?
For anything overseas international, that'll be more that'll be more in early 2019, mid 2019, and it depends where we're talking about overseas. If it's going to be a larger country, where we'd be more looking at partnering with a master franchisee setup, and that's something we can take and discuss one-on-one as well. For anything international, we can connect offline.
Yeah, so discussing one-on-one, meaning that I need to contact you directly, or how does that work?
Yeah, if you were talking about overseas, international, please, contact me directly. My direct email is Marty, Marty, @codeninjas.com.
Okay, that's easy. Now, my second question is, it might be too early to tell right at this point because I think you started in 2017 March, so it is only a little over a year. But my question is that, do you have any statistics of how soon your, the franchisees can break even?
Well, there's a couple things with that. We built all the information for you to have the tools to allow you to build out that for yourself because your market's going to be a little bit different than everybody. Every market's going to be a little different. So building out your cost of business, I don't know your spending habits, but we do help you with that one-on-one to get a good idea of what your return on your investment can be and what your just overall cash flow can look like. Now, we're not going to help you set your revenue goals, but we do have in our franchise disclosure document some revenue in there that shows you in the first 12 months of operating our center in Pearland, Texas, for example, we did more than $260,000 in revenue with the launching of our brand in the first 12 months. And we went through the largest natural disaster our city has ever seen, and we were shut down for a few months. So to still surpass $260,000 was really exciting for us with the launching of our brand in Pearland, Texas. So we can use stuff like that, those numbers like that, to help you build out what your performance can look like.
Right.
I can't talk about anything that's outside of the FDD. I cannot go over. It's against the franchising law, so I can't do it.
I understand. I'm not necessarily looking for individual cases, but it's just like on the average. Can we kind of
can't do it if it's I wish I could do that for you, but if it's not in the franchise disclosure document, I cannot go over it.
That's fine. So basically, the franchisees are responsible for their own revenue generation. In a way, you're helping out, but not necessarily have the information, or we need to disclose all the finances to you guys.
Well, when our franchisees, that's different. You're a prospective franchisee. When you're a franchisee, that's a different story and what we can talk about. But you're a prospective franchisee, so that's where the law kicks in, where I can't go over it.
Yeah. So what I meant is that once I become a franchisee, do I need to disclose all my finances in revenue to you, or this is still my own business?
No, you're a franchisee, so everything's built into the system.
Okay.
So everything, we're going to know exactly what your revenue is because everything runs through our system.
Gotcha. Okay, that sounds good. So going back to the first question, so your plan is the earliest will be 2019 for your plan to go overseas.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. As long as we find the right partner, it could be 3 years from now. It all comes down to the right partner. So.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
That sounded good.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Contact you directly later.
Yes. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, is that me? Am I live?
Yes, sir.
All right, it's me again. Drop-ins. As I understand, the business runs on drop-ins, so anybody can come in at any time. Has there ever been instances where, way too many kids show up without enough seating or computer space, and how do we handle that?
So the business runs off more than just drop-ins, but that drop-in is what you want to focus on, obviously. So I'm thinking that's what you were talking about. So the drop-in program, when it comes to it, being that it is, they can come in at their convenience. They don't have to set up the time. It doesn't have to be on the hour. It can be whenever. And those times are managed by the team based on when they scan in. It shows up on our TV, so it's managed pretty well. We have not had any kind of a problem to date. Now, we do have a couple of facilities that are a little bit smaller. They're about 1,200 square feet, but we no longer allow that. So those smaller spaces, they could run into that problem because you're looking at about 20 students at once. So if you take a 200 student number and you say you're going to get a certain percentage, you're looking at, 20 kids were to come in, 10% at one time, you're going to have a full house. Now, that's a small center. Our franchisees right now average 1,800 to 2,100 square feet, which is anywhere from 35 to 45 seats available. If you're getting 35 to 45 students in there at one time during your drop-in program, that's a really good problem to have.
Okay, so the idea of building bigger or getting more square footage, if you're going to do a reno, what's the difference of adding, instead of doing 2,000, do you go with the 2,500, and that way there's room for that growth? I'm assuming in the second, third, and fourth years, the growth should be fairly substantial after that first year. Is that something that is advised, or is 2,100 kind of the run-of-the-mill and it should be good for the years to come?
I think that comes down to strategic planning and what your goals are. You mentioned earlier multi-center. So for an example, if you're planning to do multiple centers in a certain geo area, I think that strategically planning the size of your locations is something you have to take into consideration, because if you're looking at a certain area and let's say you're able to put 3 in one area or 4, do they all have to be 2,500 square feet and that big when, let's say they're going to be 6-7 miles apart from one another? Or could you have them all 1,800 square feet? And because we have reciprocity. Reciprocity allows students to go to any Code Ninjas that they want to. And if you're going to be in a certain area and you have all of them are going to be 1,800 square feet and a kind of in a certain place, it's easy to get to them. That could save you, especially our 4 centers, could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of your centers in cost. So I think it comes down to what's available. I think it comes down to what your plan is in your market. When it comes to just doing a one-off, I think it comes down to looking at, a lot of times we don't set goals for our cost of business. We set goals just on revenue. And we like to talk about both those things here at Code Ninjas to say, okay, what is your goal for your cost? And looking at that as you start to look at how you find your center to say, okay, well, my goal for my cost of doing business for me to get the revenue that I want is X. Well, let's look at the centers that are available. If it's going to be 1,800 square feet and it helps you keep within your goal, fantastic. But if you go to 2,500 and it pushes you outside that goal, you have to rethink how you're going to grow your revenue based on the data that we have.
Right. Okay.
Does all that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. So there is reciprocity now. Is that statewide, province-wide, within your city only, or can a Code Ninja, that's vacationing from Toronto, Ontario, that's flown down to Tampa, can they go into a Tampa location? Yeah,
I mean, if we have, if let's just take somebody on an island in the Bahamas, for example, in the Caribbean, and if they have a Code Ninjas there and they want to fly into Texas, they can use the Code Ninjas there.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And we have full experience with that technology. So that is something that actually David Graham built for one of the #1 franchises in the world. So he's very familiar with that type of technology.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
So is there any ongoing royalty which is to be paid by a franchisee after taking the franchisee?
Yes, the total all-in royalty is 8%.
Okay. And that is like the day when the center is open, right? If I'm not wrong?
Well, it's when it's revenue-based. So it's when revenue's coming in. Yep.
Got it. Okay. And what are the available territories in the New Jersey location?
That's something to check with either Jeff Thames or myself. One of us may have already reached out to you. I would say directly connect with them to go over what available territory there in New Jersey right now. It wouldn't be, it's kind of we don't look at the map together. Let's do that one-on-one.
Okay, so what is the 101? Which number should I contact?
I'm guessing you've already received an email from Jeff Thames or myself. If you haven't, feel free to email me, marty@codeninjas.com, marty@codeninjas.com.
Sure, I will do that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question? Hi, do you have a question? Hi, do you have a question?
Hi there. Yes, this is Simran. So one of the questions I had was, it seems like the business is really based upon getting those right people who will be providing the training to the students. So you had mentioned that you do provide training to the code senseis. Is there any other experience that they would need in order to do this work?
Yeah, we actually help you identify the skills that are needed. Out of 55 centers that are currently open, with over 60 enrolling students, we have yet to have one issue with finding plenty of code senseis. So we work with you and let you know the exact skills that are needed, where they come from, based on not just our own personal experience, but based on the experience of 55 centers open and operating.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, hello. Do you hear me?
Yeah, barely.
Oh, sorry, just like calling on Skype. So my question is being present in an area where there are plenty of technical universities. Is it a threat for the business, or just go with it, no problem for that?
Well, it really just comes down to the demographics. We have centers located by universities and university towns. So it really just comes down to do the demographics meet the requirements to have a Code Ninjas there? Having a university in town, I don't know if that really, I don't see that playing to a negative or a positive. Maybe you'll have more opportunity for code senseis, that's for sure.
Okay, great. And my second question would be for the FDD. I did not receive it. Should I mail you to get the FDD, or how does it happen?
Yeah, typically we'd like to have a one-on-one call with you before we send you all the information, but if you just want the FDD and no other tools, then definitely you can connect with myself or Jeff Thames, and we'll get it over to you.
All right, good. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, yeah, this is Ryan. I was wondering, so you've got drop-ins, but what are the other membership types that you guys are providing?
So earlier I mentioned we do our camps whenever, so that's week-long, half-day or full-day camps whenever there's not school. We do an after-school program. We have parents' night out. We do birthday parties, and obviously you heard about the drop-in program. And then our Code Masters program will be ready to go early 2019. So currently those five.
Yeah, okay. And so I happen to be a software developer myself, and I'm curious, how advanced do the classes get? I mean, do we have adult classes, and are there advanced classes for kids who want to go off and do their own thing, that kind of stuff?
So the Code Masters program, which is for 14 and older, will be ready to go in 2019. And we owned a school that taught adults how to code in 18 different cities for 4.5 years. So we get that world very, very clearly and understand the trends and kind of where that's going. And that's why we're about to release the Code Masters program, which we feel is very innovative. The current program, which is those 9 belts, just to kind of give you an example, when they get to that 9th belt, that's a program where they're going to be using like C# inside of Unity, so it does get pretty advanced.
Okay.
But they're ready for it also.
And how quickly are you guys turning around new courseware or content? Like, right now, AI is a big deal, that kind of thing. Do you guys actually... Go ahead.
So if you think of these are great questions. I really appreciate you asking them. So when you think of camps are about how we introduce our students into new spaces and into new areas. We increase their bandwidth. So whether that's going to be new languages, whether it's going to be AI, whether it's going to be coding drones, whether it's going to be being in JavaScript, game builder programs, whatever it might be, that's what the camps are for. The ongoing curriculum, remember we're working with 7 to 14 years old. So the ongoing curriculum is we have to focus on those core principles. You understand this. A great coder and a great programmer can pick up a language over a week or a weekend. But what they can't do is pick up the problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, the time management, the leadership, the collaboration. They can't do that. Those are the skills that they need to be practiced on a regular basis so they're able to be the best thinkers and problem solvers in the world. We want them to be able to choose their language when they get older, not necessarily say they're the best at JavaScript because that's what we taught them, but let them choose their language because they're going to have to probably know multiple if they're going to venture off into that world.
Yeah, and so I'm in Portland. Things are moving fast here, and as a franchisee, can you put together a curriculum for a camp, or does it have to be the franchise camp curriculum?
All curriculums have to be approved by Code Ninjas. You can't just come up with a curriculum and do it. I mean, otherwise we'd have people actually teaching real karate. So everything has to be approved through Code Ninjas first. And by the way, we actually have a few programs that we've introduced that are from our franchisees. Because the number one group of franchisees we have are coders, programmers, IT professionals that have been doing this their whole life. So, and then our second largest group of franchisees are teachers. So we have eyes like yours, right, and you as a franchisee searching the entire market on a regular basis to say, okay, what about this? What about that? What about this camp? How can we incorporate this? As long as we can duplicate it, as long as we can, send it out to the masses and get everybody involved, we want to beta test it. We want to try it. And like I mentioned earlier, we want your engagement because that's how we really develop as a brand and become better.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question? Hi, do you have a question?
Hi. Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question here. I have a question on location. Now, let's say I was to open up a franchise. Now, let's say now I like what I'm doing here. Do I have a protected geography of, say, 25 miles that another person couldn't open another center that would also be interested in a franchise?
You have a protected radius, but it is not 25 miles. Your protected radius is anywhere from 2 to 3 miles, and it has to meet our demographics. It has to meet our requirements to even have that approved. And also something to understand is that we don't stack Code Ninjas on top of one another. So what that means is if you have a 3-mile radius, for example, a Code Ninjas is not going to be 4 miles away or 3.5 miles away or 3.1 miles away. We do not want to stack Code Ninjas on top of one another. So if you have a 3-mile radius, you're probably looking at about 6 miles away would be another Code Ninjas about. And then the demographics have to make sense to even do that. Just because it's available,
sure.
If the demographics don't make sense, we're not going to approve it as a territory. So we want to protect our franchisees, and that's why we even have closed off markets. We don't want Code Ninjas to be cannibalizing one another and stacked on top of one another.
Now, pardon me, let's say I wanted to open up a second location. Do I get the rights of first refusal on the next area? For instance, that 3.5 miles, after that 3.5 miles.
We do not do first right of refusal. Can you imagine that? If you were coming all the way down the road with me because you called up and said, hey, I'm interested in, Morningtown, New Jersey. And you start to go all the way down the road with me. And right before you buy, I'm going to call the franchisee who has first right of refusal because now I know you're serious. And then I, cut you off at the knees. That's what a first right of refusal is. And I can't do that with Code. I can't do that to our franchisees or you as a prospective franchisee who's put the work in. So we've made it up front, just clear we're not going to be doing first right of refusal. And we don't do first come, first serve. You do have to be in the process with us. We can't hold territories for a certain amount of time as we're working together, doing the due diligence on one another and going through the process.
Mm-hmm. And now on the reciprocation that you have there, let's say, somebody did open up a few miles away from me and their people start, let's say, you know what, we seem to like coming to this center better than we like to go to the center that we originally signed up for. I guess, how does that add to your operating expenses?
Well, you get paid for it. You're going to be getting paid for them using your center. You're going to be receiving money. It's not like they're using it for free. Every time they use your center, you'll be getting a certain amount of money.
I see. So there's sort of like an electronic check-in system or something like that that keeps track of things like that. Okay, great. That's good.
Everything. For a student to one of our students to access the curriculum, they have to be able to scan in either manually or with their wristband. They will not be able to access the curriculum unless they've scanned in.
Okay. Well, that's fine. And ordinarily, I mean, I guess you've only been doing this for a year. How do you guys, and what is the length of time you anticipate a break-even point? Do you expect it in the first year?
Well, I can't go over anything that's not inside of our FDD, and so break-even is something we don't talk about inside of our FDD, so I can't talk about that. But in our FDD, it does state that our average center is opened up with 59 students enrolled the day they open their doors for business. And our center is also average between $188 and $225 per student. So just by doing the math, you can kind of see where you would be at. And also I have a nice Excel document that we give to those who are kind of going down this road with us. We give you to help build all that out. So you don't have to come up with it yourself. It's plug and play. It's very nice.
Well, thank you very much for taking my call.
No problem. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hello, this is Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Just had a quick question, piggybacking off an earlier question in regards to training. When we provide training for our staff, where are the trainings being held, and do we have to send them out to Houston, and does that become a cost on us as far as hotel and training out there?
The only training that you're going to want your center director to be doing is the new franchisee training that we do about 30 days before you open. The rest of it is all going to be virtual.
Perfect. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah, hi. I'm just curious, could you give me kind of an idea of the typical hours of operation that a unit is open, and then does that include weekends, just from a management perspective?
We allow you as a franchisee with those hours of operation. You're going to obviously want to be open at least by 3 o'clock for when kids are out of school, students are out of school and coming by your center. But we give you that flexibility based on the part of the country you're in. Weekends, again, it's up to you. Right now we're seeing a lot of our franchisees open at 10 a.m. and they're open until 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and they have the team in there to help with that. Some centers are open on the weekend. It just really comes down to the franchisee.
Okay, so we have the choice of what we'd like to do in our market?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, Marty. Yes, Deepak again. Going back to the territory question, I was going to ask, say, for example, we come in, speak to Code Ninjas, and in my community, I know I want to open 5. Can I pre-select with perhaps just paying the franchise fee initially, but can I pre-select my 4 or 5 locations to ensure that no one else comes in within the 2-3 mile radius or outside of the 2-3 mile radius?
Yeah, so when it comes to that's called an ADA, Area Development Agreement. The Area Development Agreement is where you would choose, let's say you wanted 3 locations, you would choose your 3 cross streets. We would then build either a 2 to 3 mile territory around each cross street. Then those are your territories. And if you were to open up number 1 first, great, and then you can choose the order or that you want to open up. So you may start with saying, I want to do this cross street first, but then it may change to, no, I'm going to do this one instead. That's really up to you. And each one of those centers has a timeline on when you want to open. How that timeline works is when you open the doors for your first location, you have 12 months to open your second location and then 6 months to open up your third location from the day you open your doors for business.
Okay. Thank you, Marty.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah, this is me again. Just asking, like, the ratio for students and Sensei, like, now how many Sensei should be for each
I can't hear a word. I'm sorry. I cannot hear a word you're saying.
Now it's better?
A little bit. Sound like you're yelling from outside the car.
No. So my question is, like, what's the ratio between the Sensei and the students? Like, how many Sensei for each student?
We recommend 10 to 1. Our franchisees tend to also go with 8 to 1. 8 to 1, 10 to 1.
All right. And my other question, like, you can sell the product outside the location, like you can go to school and then agree with the school and then just like mount the structure inside the school?
No, the curriculum is only accessible at Code Ninjas.
Okay. And I don't know if I may ask this question, like, what differentiates Code Ninja from other franchises? Like, what are the advantages like Code Ninja brings to the franchisees?
I would say go back and start the call over from the beginning and listen to everything I just said, because that's what makes us different. The main differentiator also is 130 franchisees that are constantly searching the market to be sure that we're offering the best experience and the best world-class curriculum and how we can develop our brand to be the best. Every franchise wants to have great franchisees. We have great franchisees. Everything that we've done from ground up makes us different, makes us better, makes us stronger. Everything that we do every day shows that. That's why we've accomplished what only 2% of franchise brands have accomplished, and why the other coding brands out there, which are great people, have been franchising for years and years and years and years, and we passed them by in 90 days.
Okay.
It's validating. It's very validating to the market, to us, to see how our franchisees have responded, and that in 18 months of operating our first center, we have 55 locations open, and projected to have 100 open within the first 24 months, where the other brands have been operating for, one's been 7 years and they have 11 locations. Great people, different business model.
All right. That's fair. Thank you, Marty.
All right. Thank you. Well, I want to thank everybody for taking time to join today's call. I really appreciate it. And you weren't able to have those questions answered, feel free to email me directly at marty@codeninjas.com, and I'll be more than happy to be able to help answer all your questions or anything that you may have. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time today. And again, marty@codeninjas.com. You can also call me, Marty, which is 763-516-3578. Thank you.